I have energy for this man.
Calling the meeting to order. Just start at the top and go down. Of what we have.
What we want to do.
Town administrator salary.
Well, I think that
You
needs to
said
be raised.
you needed to, you
Good
thought it should be
grief.
adjusted.
Here
but-
she is being paid less than the highway person who's been here for a year. And it's because she's a woman, isn't it, huh?
Who would?
I think it's only because, didn't
He's
they?
running two departments.
Yeah, he's running two departments, and they added
She's
that
running the
12.
town, for crying out loud.
I know,
She's
I know.
running the town.
I know.
That's more than two departments.
But what I was saying was, I think the only reason it went above was because they added the. other
I understand that, but really, her salary.
Is she on a contract?
Yes.
Yeah.
Does the contract
Still.
stipulate her salary?
Mm-hmm. Well, yes and no.
Well, you can raise it, can you not? When's her contract up?
It renews every December.
Automatically?
Mhm.
You guys don't vote on it?
Nope.
You have to vote if you don't want.
Not since they stopped the,
So you have this contract that really isn't a
And,
contract, it's just automatic renewal?
Mm-hmm.
Who wrote that?
John LaPorte, Jim Griswold, Dave Cedarholm.
There's no end date on it?
Nope.
Can they, if they chose not to renew it, could they?
Mm-hmm. Have to give her 60 days notice that it will not be renewed.
I see,
It automatically renews January 1st each year.
okay.
It was stipulated in terms of the first year, and then she's given whatever the across-the-board increase that everybody else gets, she gets that automatically. And then if there's additional compensation, she can get that too.
And will there be, do you think,
Mm, I
among
don't
the
know.
selectmen? Have you guys talked about
We
it?
haven't talked about that yet. We usually do that in December.
Well, I think she deserves an increase.
What?
secretary, what about that whole, was everybody good with everything else in that?
Well, do you want to make a recommendation?
Yeah, I think that her salary should be increased to like 86,000. And then they can give her cost of living on top of that, if they so desire. But that would be my recommendation.
Is that,
I don't disagree, I'm thinking about
Well, I'm just-
Tom and Scott. I mean, now you
Yeah.
end up back in, if you're gonna say that she should get more money because Steve is,
Right, that
No,
she's making
I'm
84.
saying
And they
that
don't even have a
because
contract.
she's running the town.
okay, well, you have to be careful how you put it,
All right.
because this
She's
is-
running the town, and she ought to be the highest paid person, I think, in the town, because all of those department heads report to her.
No, they don't.
no,
No, they don't.
That's not true, Els.
No, that's not true.
The
She's
department
not.
heads don't report to her?
No, they report
They don't
to
go to
the-
her with their problems?
Well, that's different.
That's
Aha,
That's
okay.
different, they whine to her, they don't report to her.
The fire chief is at 75,000 and the police chief is at 84,905.
Yeah.
No, they report to us.
All the
board.
department heads?
Mhm.
Except when they have a problem, they go to her first.
Or Joanne, or whatever they have to, because she's still the human resources
well, the
officer.
select board
Who is?
asked
Julie?
her.
Julie's. I wouldn't have any more of these are pretty bad,
Yeah.
so, don't, just send them back.
You're in the middle.
Put them back this way.
Oh, man, all right. Those are so incredible.
You know I'm just picking on you, right?
I do.
Okay.
I can take all that, don't worry.
All right,
I don't disagree with you, Alice, but it's,
Well, at some point, they have to make an adjustment.
they have to. You're
I
right.
mean, they should have done it already, in my opinion, but at some point, the selectmen need to make an adjustment about it.
She got $4,000 last year.
in a bonus,
Mhm.
yeah,
Oh, just as a bonus.
increase.
But not an increase in her
Well, she got the
salary.
1% like everybody else.
Right, and then you gave her $4,000, which doesn't impact
Right.
her salary.
Same thing with the police
So
chief.
that brings her up
You gave him
to
a
Bonus too.
of how much?
I think the same thing.
4,000?
No, don't hold me to that one. But
Okay.
Who got it?
Police chief.
Anybody
Police
else?
chief.
I mean, do you go down
You
through
gotta
all
talk
of them?
around the brownie.
Sorry.
So how much did you spend on bonuses?
They gave it to Tom.
It was just the two of those.
And you didn't, nobody else got a bonus?
No,
No
I
other
got
town
merit
employees.
increases.
They got merit increases, which means that changed the range of their,
There's no range on salaries, you don't have
I
that.
don't mean the salary, but what about those people at hourly? Did they get merit increases, or did they
Some
get
of
cost
them.
of living?
Everybody got cost of living.
And then above and beyond that, some of them got merit increases?
Some of them got merit increases, and then those two got bonuses.
I see. Even so, I think she should be the highest paid
Oh.
person in the town.
And you know, Alice, we're the ABC, we can do whatever we want.
Right, I know, it
We're
doesn't
just
mean
recommending.
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that'll be we can,
so,
we need to
yeah,
vote on it, or should we
I
just?
don't, it's up to you guys in terms of, or up to us, excuse me, whatever we wanna put in there, because we can put anything we want.
So we could put $2 million, for example.
If you want to,
The
Alice, and you
select
get,
board is not gonna
and you
take
get enough
that.
support, sure.
Well, I think we should put in the 86,000 for one thing, and at least make the board look at it, I hope. Because, and then they might make it lower, or they might make it higher, but at least it would get some discussion, and hopefully,
Oh, we have lots of discussion,
in public session?
non-public when we do salary
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah.
Do we have a sense of where this is coming out?
Well, in terms of the total right now is 4,276,000, and you've got probably about maybe 500,000 going into the trust funds probably, so you got like 4.7,
And none of it's coming out of any other fund, right? I mean,
not at the moment.
right, okay.
So to give you an idea, because to the trust funds, I think it was 465, something like that. So that would bring you
That would be 7, right?
4, 5, 7, something, so about 4.6 million.
Mm-hmm.
And if you add on the 4, whatever, you're probably like $150,000, $200,000 over the current budget. That's just a guess, guesstimate.
Okay.
And how much, do you know how much the assessed value of the town went up?
Not off the top of my head. When I do that second sheet, that summary sheet, that will tell you.
Oh, okay, but the MS1 has been filed, right?
But I haven't done that second sheet to remember
Okay.
the,
Well, I just like to know, because if the town, normally you pick up 1 to 2% in assessed value when you're doing the pickup work, all right? And what's the town's assessment now? It's like 450?
something
Net
like that.
assessed, right around there?
If you're pressing me, I think it's about $8 million I added. Don't hold me to that.
Okay,
but I think
okay,
it's
so it'd
about-
be like, say, at 458, or,
Yeah.
let's just use 460.
Yeah,
And so that's 10 million, so at $31, how much does that raise?
31.49.
Yeah, right. Right, it only raises like 300,000. But that would cover this increase that's in this budget, would it not? Because it doesn't take into account how we're gonna get smacked by the school district,
Mhm.
right? Because of the
The
request for the
other warrant
bond.
articles
School?
that they're talking about.
Hmm?
It's
The
cool.
middle school?
Yeah, I think they're gonna request a bond, aren't they?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Do we know how much that bond is yet? Did he
No,
come talk to you guys?
Not yet. He's supposed to come next Monday.
Okay. Didn't mean to get off the track, I just,
It's okay. Well, it's also when you're talking about these things, this is not the last time we'll talk about them, but
Right.
you
But
need some
it's just-
context about what the whole,
Right, well, it just would be nice to know what sort of revenues there are available to cover any increase or whatever.
Mhm.
And if the assessed value for this year went up 8 million, you can probably expect a similar amount for next year. 1 to 2%, no, 2% would be what, 9 million, and you said 8, so.
The other thing, just to let you know, is I think it was 257 that we put into unassigned fund balance from this last fiscal year.
To use to reduce the taxes?
Yes, we used $250,000 to reduce taxes, but it was 257.
it went up by
So-
257 and down by 250.
So the
Oh,
school,
so then you're telling me that the surplus just about stayed the same, is that what you're saying?
Just almost.
Yeah,
There was a
okay.
payment to Market Basket because they filed an abatement,
Yeah,
so we did an agreement with them, so that was 50,000. Yeah,
So the school is approximated at $49 million with a 25-year bond.
oh,
But-
25?
Yeah, but they anticipate no spike, one, because the high school bond should be paid off. And they're
they're
gonna,
not paid off yet, are they?
no, it's, but by,
Close by the time
if
it
that's gonna
happens.
retire and the new one's gonna take over. And then they're gonna actually increase the budget 1% each year for the next 4 years to start dealing with the interest. So instead of just being a big leap, they're gonna do a small gradual leap, is their current plan.
So they're gonna increase the budget 1% for what purpose?
For the next 4 years devoted to the bonds, so that by steadily increasing our annual budget by 3.5%, 2.5 for regular expenses, 1% in anticipation of the bond payment, we can accommodate bond payments when the full fee becomes due, because you don't pay the whole thing right up front. It's my understanding.
Of the bond,
Right.
you mean?
It's the interest, yeah.
Yeah, you just, on the first year, you probably just mostly pay interest, that would be
there's-
my bet.
A Couple things happening, high school bond's gonna go away.
Yeah, but not till 2006, or, I mean, that was started in 2006 or 2007. I mean, they were still doing it when my niece
I
graduated.
think what they said was, and that was part of their big selling point.
So that's
even at the fair, they said it was
2026 or
gonna end.
2027 before that bond is retired, I think.
No.
It's sooner than
He
that.
said it was
Alright.
sooner, yeah,
Sooner
they
than
said
that.
it was sooner.
I don't have that in my notes here.
I think it's 2021. I think that's what they keep saying.
No,
Yeah.
they took it out after we did that, after we took out the bonds.
Well, either way, they are claiming it's going to go away, and then they're going to increase 1% for the bond interest, so there's not a
So,
huge
so
spike.
what they're telling us then is that when this bond is finished, the amount we've been paying on this bond will just go to pay for the next bond,
Yes.
plus another
Yes.
additional 1%.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's.
1% of the entire budget,
Yep.
Yes.
yeah. Okay.
The other thing you have to watch out for them, they're doing this strategically or tactically. There is approximately $1.5 million in the operating budget this year as a one-time expenses, two one-time expenses.
Oh, they're gonna keep it in.
Well, what they're gonna tell you is your tax rate is only gonna go up a little bit because they're not telling you that right now the budget has been inflated by those two one-time expenses.
Yeah, and they're gonna keep them in, essentially, keep that money in somewhere in
Yeah.
the budget.
So
And then
we-
increase it another
Yeah.
1% or
So
whatever.
the question is, what would the tax rate be without that $1.5 million?
Right, I
To
agree.
say, how much is actually going up, which
Right.
is a significant number.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and when I speak to the superintendent about that, he says, well, there's nothing illegal about it. I said, well, it's not very ethical. He said, well, there's nothing illegal about it, because they've checked with Concord. It's
I
it's
see, I
perfectly
see.
fine, perfectly
He
fine.
ought to be talking to Joe Biden and his son, right? There's
Deception.
nothing illegal about what he did, but it certainly wasn't ethical.
So, back to the selectman's office. Nothing like this happens in Effingham, right?
Oh, no. It was about midnight when I got out of there last night with
Oh,
the
my
budget
goodness.
committee.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Do you guys
Well,
have a
hopefully that
budget
doesn't
committee, a
happen.
municipal budget
That
committee?
cannot be it.
So it's, oh,
It's a double whammy.
all right, what do we want to do with the selectman's office?
Well, I want to increase Julie's salary.
Someone wanna, do we make a motion or just let
I
it,
think,
you know, take that as a note right now, because we're gonna talk about this many times, or what do you want?
I mean, if you don't want to
You
put
can
in an amount, I think we should recommend to the selectmen that they look at it and increase her salary
Okay,
to represent what it
We'll
should
be
be.
looking at this again once
Yep.
we see the
Oh, yeah.
other departments.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen,
so I put a note,
Okay.
an 86,000 increase.
So,
or-
anything else with those? Can I just move those over to our recommended numbers?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
10
Yeah, let's-
Yeah.
Supplies.
I don't disagree with your rationale, but I do feel uncomfortable with doing it all in one jump.
You feel uncomfortable doing it all in one jump?
Yeah.
Well, if they had voted in a program, let's say, or a resolution or whatever that say they'll increase it this much this year and do it over a 3-year period or something, I don't have a problem with that, I just think it should be
Okay.
addressed,
I feel better with that then.
yeah.
I think we make the recommendation to the select board, and they're gonna have to look at it anyway. They have all sorts of other information, we don't know about any ins and outs and everything else about,
Well,
Julie, or whether she,
Right, right.
you know,
I don't-
deserves
I-
it, just
right.
on the basis of being paid the highest paid, person in town, isn't really a,
I think it is,
you know.
for the job she does.
Well, it
I mean,
depends on
the description of the
what they
job that she
think.
has.
We don't know, yeah.
So, all right, I mean,
we
separate,
don't know what
separate from her
they
as a
think of her
person
job,
or
yeah.
whatever. I
No,
don't know
performance,
anything about
not-
that,
not person.
all right? I'm just talking about the position.
Right.
To me, you fund the position, and if you have an individual who's really good at it, you fund the individual even more.
So that's why I'm saying we recommend to the board, like you said, to
Yeah,
look at it.
that's fine, they should look at it.
Yeah,
Now,
and it's up to them.
that also is gonna change some other line items, so we have to remember that when we go through.
Right, retirement and social security and all that, yeah, sure, yeah.
Right, so that section's elections, registrations,
I mean,
it is what it is, right?
yeah, there's no way, I mean, it depends on the number of elections you have to do.
And I think they took that into consideration. as
Are we
well.
getting a new moderator?
Yes, I was just gonna mention that. You
Okay.
have a new moderator. The old moderator resigned, and you have Mr. Don Quigley is going to be your moderator.
Oh, wow.
This morning, I should have said something.
He's not gonna run against anybody, so it's gonna be, I don't know if he's gonna sit at the town clerk's office at 4:59 and see if anybody else runs. If nobody runs, puts in his name, I don't know. He does not wanna run against anybody. So he'll do
So if
it.
someone else
What's the,
runs,
what's the
then he'll just.
probability of that?
I don't know. Somebody might step
Somebody
forward
might
and
be
do it.
interested in doing it.
He just doesn't want the, I don't know if it's the controversy, he just doesn't want to run against anybody. So if he doesn't put in his name, the supervisor's checklist can appoint him for yet another year,
Right.
but it's a 3-year term, so.
When is the time period?
Probably in January.
Yeah, last part of January. Somebody's up, who's up on this group?
I think I am.
I think it's you and me. We're up. Our terms are up.
Your term is up.
My term's up too.
I thought it was mine.
You and I just
Well, we did?
renewed.
Okay, then it's not me.
I'm up,
Then it's you and Alice then.
Yeah.
and I'm probably not gonna run again.
You know what? No. With everything you got going on.
Too busy?
Well, it makes for a long day.
Oh, yes.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
The commute from Effingham is not a short commute,
It's gonna be an hour, isn't it?
a little over.
Little
If
over.
everything
Really?
goes right, it's an hour and 10 minutes, if everything goes right. This morning, it didn't go right because someone decided to have a fender bender in Barrington.
Oh,
and
no.
It was backed up in
It's
both
not-
directions for miles from Gables.
It looks like it's Alice and Brian.
It's Alice and Brian, yes.
Yep.
Pardon?
It is Alice and Brian. It's you and Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we'll have to find somebody.
If you're not-
yeah, after I get done at Effingham, I might do it again, but I'm not.
Okay.
I got at least another year there and a half.
All right.
Oh, yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
We'll put out feelers,
We'll see.
because as you know, there's not, people aren't, banging down the door to do this particular group, so.
What'd you say?
Maybe Court will do it, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did it on
Well, he
here.
was on before, yeah.
I don't know, we'll see.
I don't know why he got,
Well, he didn't get elected.
huh?
Right, he lost the election.
Oh,
Yes.
oh,
Um,
I didn't know that was,
Apparently.
This is called election registration as well.
Or
is this?
Yeah.
This is
Is that town clerk?
That should be town clerk and have the last
Oh, town
okay.
clerk.
thing, isn't it?
Shouldn't it be
Yes.
town clerk?
Yes, yes, it is, TC, yes. You found yet another problem with her data. This gets dumped
where
out
was
of
that?
Tyler.
Alice?
This gets
It's-
dumped out
it's
of
just that
Tyler.
This should be town clerk.
Oh, elections and registration should
Yeah,
be
because
town clerk.
it's in there twice, election and registration, the title
yeah.
is.
well, you know, some of that's caused by the state.
No, this is a coding thing.
Yeah, but if you look at the state, the way that the IRA wants to report it, the town clerk is under election and registration.
Oh, okay, but
So
That's
that's.
not the
So,
reason why
but this
this
is
is.
41411, and this is 41401, and they're the same, right?
this is what's taken me so long in terms of for
Yeah,
some
so
years,
411 should be 10.
that it's, the program is just doing some screwy things, like, if you guys are into data, these numbers that are on the left,
Yeah,
in her system, some of these are in there as text, and some of them are in there as numbers.
Oh, jeez.
Yes, so I said, can you fix that? Because last year it wasn't this way. She says, well, I keep trying it, but it keeps going back. So I had to go in and recode them. I try not to change her data thing, because this piece of information here, when we get done, I just send her the file back, she uploads it, so she doesn't have to type in anything, so it's easy. But I said to her today, these are coming across as numbers now instead of text. Can I fix them? She says, sure, go ahead. I said, okay, and then she got to explain them, and that's when I found all these particular errors, so.
So you do that stuff, huh? Computer
Yeah,
You do computer.
coding?
yes. So, because all this is a crystal report, and the only reason I do this is because the system that they have, we can't get access so we can keep track of what we're recommending.
Mhm.
So she gives me this data file, I put a column in for the ABC recommended, and I run a report against that. And that's what this stuff is, but the report, if it has bad data, it's gonna come out bad. So I went through and checked, and the totals on the bottom didn't match hers. So I'm looking at the data and stuff, and there's all kinds of weirdness in there. So it wasn't matching up all the 41411s and things like that, so.
Yeah, so that was another one.
Yeah, Conservation Commission was another screwy one. You'll see under the police department, I talked to her about this one today, the last line of the police department says Stratford County Dispatch. I said, that's usually down in dispatch. Yeah, I keep meaning to change that. Well, last year was down there, so why did it change this year? I'm getting a little nervous about the information she's sending me, so. And then we got to the bottom, when she didn't send me anything, it said, is there no information? Oh, there's information, but I didn't think you wanted me to give you that. Well, why give me that point? It was very strange, it was very strange. Welcome to my world. Town clerk, tax
Lovely
collector.
world.
Is that what that's supposed to say?
Yes,
So town, clerk, tax collector,
wasn't much there.
Yeah, I don't think much there.
Yeah, good grief, yeah,
Move it all over.
yeah.
So we're all set?
Yeah.
All right.
check that section. Financial administration,
Same there.
Did you figure out if you got paid?
she did not
I
get
have not
paid.
been paid, and when
Because
Billy
it
said it
was-
was my fault, because I didn't fill out a W-2, I don't have one in my email, so.
It was a long time ago, actually.
Yeah, my email lasts forever, though.
No, so you look back at those dates,
Yeah, I
right when you
I
first.
Googled W, whatever it was, W-9, I just searched my email.
But you were new last year, right?
Yeah.
So they probably don't have you on the list.
Well,
Scott,
Ooh,
probably not.
I don't
Then.
know,
no.
but I bet it
So
costs you
nothing
more
yet.
money to pay us than you pay us when you finally figure out
Since
the
it-
cost.
Is this something you learned?
It's probably for-
When you figure out the cost of the bookkeeper, the cost of the FICA, the cost of doing
It's
the,
in data entry.
It's all automated.
Yeah.
She sets it up initially that you all get paid one time, that's why I only pay you one time. The system just kicks out.
It's
the check.
$100. And clearly she didn't get paid because it was only $500
Yeah.
last year, and it should have been $6. So obviously she wasn't paid, so
It's not the
let's see if we
email.
can fix it for this year and give her $200 or.
I'm fine with that.
Maybe we
Scott,
can
you
do
need
that.
a
yeah.
motion to move financial administration, or have you got that?
Yeah,
What do you mean
I
move it?
second.
Huh?
Just
Oh.
move it over, but.
Oh, we just,
the
It's all
we're
amount-
not being so formal, but yes.
The amount
Yeah,
proposed
just-
is fine.
Right.
Here's that.
IT expenses,
I wanna have dinner tonight, not tomorrow morning.
no, I haven't eaten either. IT expenses,
Anything with that?
because
No.
we're
No?
assessing,
Just three
There's
lines.
nothing you can do there.
This is the,
basically
we're going
it's,
out to bid this next spring for that.
and that's what it is, right?
So we're back, but we switched auditors for some reason, right?
Yep, we switched auditors.
We
we're
did it
back-
go out to bid.
Yep, Yep, we went out to bid.
And Paul's, came down with their price or something, or,
Yes,
yeah, that's what I thought would happen. Yeah.
3 years ago when we went out to bid Vashon, well, we've been paying Plosnick and Sanderson about 14, 15,000.
Yeah. And now they're down to 12.
Vashon came in at 10.5, 10.7, so we saved some money.
Yeah,
And then there was a problem because Cookley and Vashon, not Cookley and Vashon, Plosnick and Sanderson didn't finish up the audit.
right,
So
yes, I remember that.
Vashon had to do some extra stuff.
Yeah,
But subsequent to that, they've been very, very, very slow in terms of getting us our management reports and the audit and stuff. So in this current contract we have, which Plosnick and Sanderson never had that particular problem, we have in the contract now that they have to provide us by certain dates.
okay,
But the last year, Vashon, they were very slow. That's why we almost didn't get the annual report out on time, because they still didn't give us the numbers and stuff. So Julie had to yell at them numerous times. And it wasn't us, it was them, they just
mm-hmm,
didn't do it.
mm-hmm,
But yes, when we went out to bid again, Plosnick and Sanderson are now down in the $10,000, $11,000 range, so we saved
yeah,
some money over those years, so. And we have the same person we had before, so
uh-huh.
should be
But
fine.
now is that the same person then who didn't finish the audit though, whenever it was?
Yes,
It is, and why wasn't the audit finished then?
because supposedly there was some correcting entries that they do. So we give them, they do the
Initial one.
Initial one, then they give us some reports and stuff,
Yeah.
and then they tweak some things.
Yeah.
Because things
Yeah.
need to go in different places. Those tweaks never got done. So really, Vashon had to go back in and figure out what the tweaks were, and then actually do them to the accounting system.
Why weren't they ever done?
They weren't,
Why?
they just weren't,
They just didn't do
They just didn't do it.
just didn't do them.
Is,
it. They did them, they didn't give them to the client. They had them, they were on the accounting firm's books.
oh, but they never
didn't-
gave them to the
They never
town
gave them to the town.
because they lost a bid?
Who knows?
Okay,
Could be anything.
yeah,
Because according to Joanne, what usually happens is when Plosnick and Sanderson did the next audit, they would do those entries to the accounting system.
they'd
So
wait
they-
till the next year, you mean, to
Yeah.
do those entries? Is that common?
I wouldn't think so, but,
Oh,
so they didn't do the next year, so they never did the entries, and,
I see. So that's their excuse about it.
well,
I'm not sure
We
there is
shouldn't
a
have allowed
common
that to
when it
happen.
comes to towns.
I'm sorry?
I'm not sure there is a common, he says is that common?
Yeah, I just have never heard, in the years that, I was a town administrator, that never happened. But they waited till the next year to do the tweets. Hmm.
legal fees,
Well, I guess, if Julie thinks that's enough, what can we say, right?
well, part of it is, I think you've got some money in planning and zoning too, yes.
Yeah, there's always some for me as well.
But they haven't come in yet though, right?
Right.
Mhm. But Fairpoint is still out there.
How come Fairpoint is still out there, and why isn't it resolved? I thought there was a Supreme Court
polls or
decision
something?
about it.
Not
It's
yet.
about the polls.
They've had a Superior Court decision, but they're appealing it,
Who's appealing?
the towns.
Because the town's lost in the
Yes.
Superior Court. Okay. So they cannot tax the polls according to the Superior Court, is that right?
They.
Are there
they-
more
they-
restrictions on it,
yeah,
or-
There's limits or something.
Okay,
They wanted to, because they want to go back 3 years, they gave the town an offer, and we were told to refuse it. So the towns are appealing the particular decision to the Supreme Court, so,
so wait, Fairfax, this has been going on for like 10 years now, has it not?
something like that. I don't know.
Why,
about 10 years.
but the reason I'm asking that is because if you're only talking about 3 years,
That's what they're talking about.
that's all, Fairfax doesn't even own, they don't even own the lines anymore, do they?
Well, I think they call it that, but, Consolidated Communications has it now. but-
Yeah, okay, okay. So Fairfax wouldn't be,
Fairpoint.
whenever they sold it, they lost their interest in it. They could still pursue an abatement for previous years, I don't have a problem with that, but I'm just curious as to,
Well, they call
Why
it
does it get-
Fairpoint, but it's really the Delaware Communications people. So it's Consolidated Communications now, but they call it the Fairpoint suit.
right, and who gets the benefit of it? Consolidated or?
I would think, I don't know.
Yes.
I don't
Why?
know.
Why? Because
They bought the company and they
Fairpoint
bought the
basically
suit.
went bankrupt and Consolidated picked
Okay.
them up.
Okay, all right, all right.
And the general is, that's what it costs to do legal stuff.
So how much do we assess these polls for, do you know?
No,
I think, Alice, some of the argument, because in Effingham, we just settled.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And the reason we did finally is most of the poles were very old. And so the argument is an ancient pole isn't worth what
A new poll.
a new pole
Of course,
is.
of course.
That's some of the argument
Its
that's going
economic
on.
life has been mostly used up, sure.
Yes. And
Yes.
so,
So they'd have to make evaluations about every single poll as to its age, I would think anyways.
they do.
Okay,
And they did, and that's part of the data that's been put in on the suit. The other part of it is the way the municipalities were assessing the right-of-ways. It's not all just the poles, it was some of the assessment of the right-of-ways and what the true value of a right-of-way is versus,
are we assessing the right of way?
everybody did,
Everybody did?
yeah.
Even on old colonial roads where the property owners own to the center? I mean, like on High Road, everybody owes to the center of the road.
Yeah, no, I don't think on those roads, but you're talking about the high-tension lines that go down through the right-of-ways.
Oh, I see, that's what you're talking about, okay.
All those
okay.
right-of-ways would be in. Now, the legislature has passed a law that defines how poles and right-of-ways will be assessed. It takes effect in 2020.
Oh,
And it's statutory now, there's not gonna be an argument.
about it.
But, because I've lived this thing for the
Right.
last few weeks.
Well, so I'm curious as to how much of money is at issue for the town in this?
Well, I think a fair amount, because in Effingham was 270,000, and we settled for 193.
So 270 for 3 years?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I had to figure out,
Yeah.
because what we've done is we've settled for 193, I think it is, and it's payout over a 3-year period of time from reduction of taxes. We don't have to give them any money.
Oh, I see.
But it does reduce their assessed valuation, so,
It reduces their assessed valuation, so they get it that way instead, right? So you don't have to come up with any cash.
that's right.
Yeah, okay.
Because we couldn't come up with the cash, we don't have any cash.
You don't have any cash?
Yeah, that's a problem.
So you don't know how much it, I mean, I'm.
Yes, I do, but I can't tell you what it is.
I would say it was, I would say it
I
would
do
be
know,
time
but I
to
can't
know.
tell you what it is at the moment, because it's a legal thing, we were told we're not supposed to speak
Confidential.
about it.
Oh,
Tell you
I
the
see, I bet it's in
answers
the
you do.
pleadings. I bet I could look it up online.
No, it was an offer that was given to us, and.
Oh, okay, that's
Right.
different, that's different. Now, I mean, I'm curious as to what they were taxed for. How much?
Oh, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, how much money could we possibly owe them is what I'd like to know.
Oh, yes, I do know that, but I don't remember the number. I only remember what they offered us to get out from underneath it.
I see,
See, the only reason I can talk about it is it's settled, signed, and sealed.
Right.
So now it's a court document that's,
right,
otherwise 2 weeks ago, I couldn't have had this
right,
conversation.
yeah, okay. It just seems like
And
it's
we
taken
didn't,
a
so I
really
can't have the
long time.
conversation,
Just-
because it's part of the
So-
negotiation, so.
How we go?
Legal
Personal
fees,
administration?
are we done?
What?
Oh,
Legal
I already
fees?
agreed.
We're all set? Yep.
Personnel administration.
Personal administration.
Well, wait a minute, did we go by assessing?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Can we talk about that for a minute? That's going out for bid?
Next spring, I believe.
Yeah.
Because it still drives me nuts that they charge us $500 for mileage.
I
think
know.
that should be in the,
that should be in their contract.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely, I agree with you.
So they'll just raise their contract by $500.
Well, yeah,
Well,
but.
if they gotta go for bid, they're gonna
Right.
have to be in line with the other companies that bid.
We can say that we'd like it included.
You can write your specs, right?
Yep.
Now, do you have to reassess this year, the total
No.
assessment?
Next.
Next.
I think it's next. Yes, our ratio is down to 77%.
77% for 2018.
No, 19, I think the one we just got.
You just barely got it, okay.
Yep. And Julie has a call, and I don't know if she's got a response yet in terms of, because supposedly if it dips below 80, you're supposed to reassess. So-
I don't know that you do want them to include mileage in the contract. If they include it in the contract, aren't they just include it as a flat fee? Whereas here, we may be budgeting $500, but they're only using 300 of it. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
that actually that is the best.
Well, normally, when you have a contract with an assessing firm, they pay their own mileage.
I know.
And I don't know why we're paying it, I guess I don't understand. It was an add-on or something?
It's the expendables and stuff.
That's
Do they
that's
come
what
only
they
when
talked
you-
about, where originally they had a car that we gave them, and then,
Oh,
this is
yeah.
what Julie was saying. And then, so instead of giving the car, then they provided paying for mileage. That's what the
Well,
explanation was,
As
right?
long as all the firms that are bidding on the same thing.
Same thing, you're fine.
Right.
I'd be more concerned about giving them the car, because.
Well, that's what they stopped doing,
They
yeah.
don't try to give them any.
They stopped doing the
Because that
car.
Gives us a whole bunch of liability that we don't
We
need.
don't do that.
They stopped doing the car, and they said, okay, we'll just pay mileage. So use your own car, we'll pay mileage. That's why that's what she explained anyway.
Anything in personnel administration? Health insurance
Well-
is down, which is good.
Yeah, but I mean, this depends too on whether or not the selectmen approve another officer, correct? I mean, because I think she said those increases are in this budget.
Yep, there's one,
Yeah.
yes, there's one,
There's an officer.
because we'll get to that in a little bit.
Okay,
So,
I can move everything over except the
Yeah.
health insurance, if you want to do that.
Yep.
yeah, whatever, I'm not, and well, it would affect retirement too. Would it not?
That's true. It's group 2. Okay.
And zoning, we haven't seen yet.
planning and zoning.
I suspect it will be probably just about the same. So,
Well, they have,
Yeah.
planning and zoning hasn't made a presentation yet, have they?
right.
From
All right.
buildings.
So buildings, anything in there? No?
No?
All right, move it all over.
Insurance.
Cemetery.
Oh, sorry.
It-
That's on the
it-
top of
yes.
the other page.
Yes, I'll fix that, but
No, it's okay. I see it now.
This is where we can fix the fact that we don't have a superintendent.
yes, yes, you can.
So is there someplace else that $1,500 should go?
I know, should it be in the highway or what? Or does he have other money in there to hire Randy? It sounded like that's what he wanted to do.
Well, he hires Randy to do highway department stuff.
No, he's not talking about.
As far as I understand, the trustees are gonna provide the services that the superintendent would usually provide.
Oh, I see, so it could be something that would be deleted, you mean?
Possibly, yes. Because basically the superintendent is in charge of the burials and stuff.
Oh, I see, and the
And
trustees are
also-
doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great.
And
Donna-
also
Donna
laying
will
out,
do that, yeah.
this is your plot, this is where the hole's gonna be
Yeah.
dug, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Then the trustees are doing that, so
Oh, wow.
Well, Pete is doing it, actually.
he's one of the trustees,
Yeah,
so.
right.
Now, is the Pete
Pete's
that
doing
that was
it all.
here, is he the one who now owns Flag Hill?
No,
No, who is?
that's Brian Ferguson.
Okay, who is Pete?
Pete Hoyt.
Peter Hoyt.
He's the one that,
He works for
he
highway.
did talk
That's
about
right.
the cemetery, but he does everything in the town. Works for the highway department.
Okay, but
Yeah.
he's been with the highway department.
Yes, for a
Yeah.
number of years.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes, all right, just trying to keep people straight.
Forever.
Yep.
So you could just remove the cemetery superintendent salary, you could do that.
So is it being spent this year, do you know?
There's no superintendent, so,
Oh, I see.
And they have no intention of hiring one?
no.
All right, so then I think we
Well,
should remove it.
So what if,
They're gonna
but-
replace?
so Pete's just doing it as a,
Trustee.
He's a
trustee
trustee,
of
he's is he the chairman of the trustees?
I don't know if he's the chairman. I don't-
but doesn't he get anything for that?
Yeah, he gets
He gets
$100.
$100.
Oh.
Trustee salary, just like you get $100.
Yeah. As far as that
Depends on how
goes, I
much-
hate to say it, but he does a lot more than, you know, I guess.
If he doesn't take it, don't matter what you put in there.
Yeah,
And the thing is, how
Okay.
much work is it, depending on how many burials you get,
right, yeah.
you know? Maybe if
Yeah.
you get one or two.
Well, it was a
big-
lot of work this fall, because
Well, they're getting a lot more cremations,
Right,
which is a lot easier than a burial.
but that's why I was saying he does quite a bit, because he was digging holes, he was out there waiting, he was filling the hole in, he was doing, it was,
Well, whoever does the hole digging is getting paid anyways.
Yes.
okay, that's what I was wondering.
By the
He's not
party.
just doing all of that for nothing.
Yes,
No.
so if you're burying grandma, the family pays for those particular expenses.
Right,
It's
I just did it.
Perry Bryant's
For
son,
my mom and dad.
Mike, is it Mike?
Yeah.
Perry Bryant's son is doing it.
Okay.
So-
What happened to Ricky? Wasn't he doing it?
Ricky stopped because they were doing so few burials, it didn't pay for his insurance.
I see.
He needs insurance,
Got it.
which was
Okay.
like $1,200, and he was doing like 2 or 3 and
Yeah.
just didn't pay.
A year.
Okay.
And he was only charging the town $100.
I know.
So it made out good for the families, but, and I said, well, Ricky, why don't you charge more? Well, that wouldn't be fair, that's not, But
What?
I said, you gotta get your
Charge,
expenses.
yeah, pay for-
Then I says, maybe you could continue to do it if the town gave you money to pay for the insurance and you just dug the graves. And
Right.
if you go over, then
Yeah.
we'll pay you extra. No, that's too complicated. So,
I love Ricky.
because it's been $100 for years.
I know.
So the families burying whoever, we're getting a very good deal. Now they're paying like $500.
$500, yeah.
And that's if it's during regular time, because if it's on overtime or a weekend, it's even more.
Yeah.
That's
So-
for a big,
That's for a flow.
a big dig,
A flow.
not the, yeah.
Because when they do
The
a
term that was,
cremation,
cremation was.
the highway department's been doing those.
Yeah,
So,
Oh, my God.
he had to dig but they dig like a 4-foot hole,
yeah.
so it's not,
Well,
So
Ricky
we're
was,
taking the 1,500 out or not?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
I think
take
we
the
should.
1,500 out.
Yeah.
okay, and the rest,
1,500's out.
rest move over.
Okay.
And the rest move over.
Or liability insurance,
Oh, that is what it is. I think we
Right.
can do about that.
The 50 is this.
that's what she's put in there. We haven't talked about a number yet.
Okay.
Usually what we talk about is in terms of what's inflation, and then we talk about whatever merit increases. The departments have to have their evaluations to us next month, beginning of next month.
other general government.
So we can leave 50,
Yeah, I
the
mean,
board hasn't talked about it, so we
right,
can do whatever
yeah.
we want.
Right.
Police department?
So how does the board feel about another full-time?
We haven't talked about it.
Oh,
This board member feels we just got a new one last year, and we don't need another one at this particular time. That's just my opinion, we
Yeah.
haven't talked about it.
Yeah, say that again, sorry.
I said, I can't respond for the board hasn't spoken about it. This particular person, myself, they just got a new officer last year, so I'm not in favor of another one this year.
You
I
got
thought you
I
still-
thought, no, we gave
you
Scott
hired
the
last year.
Oh,
officer.
year before last then,
Right.
sorry, I'm a year off.
I would
So,
say that I would want to.
But
I
didn't
would
the board say that as long as he stayed within the 2%?
Yeah,
he didn't, well,
He did.
he's not within the 2%.
He's not.
no.
it's a little bit over.
I thought it said 2%.
Yeah, that's it too.
2%, yeah, but look at the other expenses associated with that hire.
They're
Because
in Julie's budget.
they're in Julie's budget, so she's gonna be old. But that's just me, like I said, we haven't talked about it, we haven't discussed it, I do not know what the other two are thinking, so.
Now, the
But that doesn't make
secretary's
it-
retiring, right?
Yep, next
Okay.
October.
So we've got clerical replacement in here, but can you refresh my memory in terms of how he said he was gonna do this? He's got $7,000 in there for clerical replacement.
That's when they're both on, and she's
Yes.
Oh, that's
training.
the overlap.
Yep.
Yeah, she's training the new person.
Yep. And remember, the sergeant went from sergeant to lieutenant, so that's the difference. Because you're seeing up there, there's no sergeant request for this particular year, so.
Right.
Thoughts, chief?
When he went from the sergeant to the lieutenant, did it go from hourly to salary?
No, I
I
don't think so.
don't think so. I think the chief is the only one that's still salary. I don't have that sheet with me. There's a sheet that shows. But we can find out if that's it.
Not much of an increase either, it's only going from 58.5 to 59.9.
Yeah.
Well, it's going from 741 to 759,
Right.
so it's 18,000.
But I meant for that job,
Oh, yes.
is only going, there's not much of a raise included in that job change. Chief, what do you think about the staffing?
Well, full-time gives you the training that you need in order to stave off some levels of liability. It's also more dependable because you can,
Right.
it's your employee. It's not someone else's employee that's coming over part-time, but that has a requirement to have the first obligation to the town they're working on. Most towns don't wanna hire part-time certified police officers anymore. Because
But
of
that's a
liability.
change, isn't it? Right. That's a change, isn't it?
Yeah, but the liability has gotten so high
I
with
see.
the part-time officers. And they're also very limited on the number of hours they can work.
Right,
They've limited the number of hours a year a part-timer can work.
because of the retirement system.
No, they've limited it because of lack of training.
Oh, I
They
see.
don't want people using them as full-time officers.
Oh, I see.
Is this guy working for somebody else too?
And,
No, I don't think so, but he had a part-timer. He had a part-time person, and that guy was retired from Manchester Police
Right.
all
Department.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's what Alice is talking about, because they've limited the number of hours those people can work also.
Yes, okay.
A tremendous amount, and that's because of the retirement system,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they were
I know about that.
sick of people circumventing the retirement system. It was costing
Mhm.
more money. So what happens is you are really limited on what you can use, what you've got available. And I think what he did is he did away, if I remember the presentation,
He was gonna-
he did away with the part-time guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And make
And
it
then
full-time.
it was part-time, it was full-time certified. And then he took some of his overtime budget to put in for the full-time
He
person.
said he would have that go down.
So, you know, I guess,
Plus retention, right?
I guess that, well, he has trouble with retention.
So that's what I'm
That's
saying,
because-
full-time
That's because,
will stay,
don't-
and a part-time won't
oh no,
necessarily,
yeah,
right?
the reason he has a problem with retention is the same reason I had a problem with it
Yeah.
10 years, 20 years ago.
Because you're not getting paid.
They're not paying enough, so I train, and the cop's a good cop, and Dover steals them.
Right.
Or Rochester or state police, I lost more to state police than I did anybody else.
And half
I don't think that's gonna change.
part-time though,
I agree with you, Alice, I don't think it is, it's,
Any small town.
yeah.
They're
But
just
if
sort
you're
of feeding
full-time-
grounds for the bigger cities or whatever.
if you're full-time and you have benefits, then I would think you're less likely to just,
No, because the amount you make in a small town doesn't equal the amount you can make in a real city where.
right, you know, but if you're working part-time.
And the working conditions in the
Are
city are
different.
better,
Yeah,
because you're not on a loan ever, you've
Yeah.
always got backup,
yeah,
you've always got a supervisor that's out there.
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of benefits to, I mean, I hired guys that I let go after probationary period, and gave them great recommendations to the cities. Problem was I had to sleep sometime, they couldn't be calling me at 2 o'clock in the morning every time they tried to make a decision.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the problem with being a small town, being alone, you're the person, and you've gotta make that decision.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can remember one guy who was a good cop, but he couldn't make a decision, he couldn't,
Right.
and he needed a supervisor.
Yeah.
And he went to Rochester and did great, because he had
Because he had a
supervisor.
supervisor. Yeah, and learned the ropes.
And he was a good cop.
Yeah.
So it's a tough deal. And
It is a tough
I guess I
deal.
sympathize with the fact that he has some trouble keeping people, and even with this person, he won't have two people on all the time. He'll be without the second person, I think. like from 2 o'clock in the morning till
Something
6 or
like that.
something like
Yeah,
that.
Seems like we've been chasing
We've
that
talked-
problem ever since I went on this committee.
Yeah.
And we keep adding people, and we don't seem, we still
well, he
have
gives us
guys-
the number because we're always behind.
We're always
That's what I
behind.
said at
We've
the,
been-
you know,
We've been having this
meeting.
discussion about having one guy alone forever. We keep adding guys, but we still seem to have one guy alone.
Oh, you-
we're working towards
Right.
getting there, but we don't ever give them
We have
enough people.
completely plugged the gap.
I know.
You
So-
gotta have, to cover 22 shifts, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you gotta have 11 people. Because you got holidays, you got days off, you've got
And that's the number
vacation time, you've
he
got
gave
sick
us.
leave, all those things.
Are the shifts 12 hours?
I think he's doing 10 hours else, I'm not sure, I think
There's
he's
a
doing
personal
14
policy, you
hours.
can't have 12-hour shifts.
For 12-hour shifts?
Can't have 12-hour shifts.
Well, a lot of people have tried it, the problem with 12-hour shifts is, into the 12th hour, something happens, and you don't get off, and you're the 14th hour, and then you're coming back in. It just doesn't work, the 12 hours. But 10-hour days allow them to slide, so you're not changing 2 people at the same time. Yeah, you can do that, and you can cover, that's how we can cover until 2 o'clock in the morning, pick it back up at 7 or 8, I can't remember.
So do our officers earn time and a half after 40? Or do they earn time and a half after 8 hours in a day? Or do they, can they go 45 hours without earning overtime?
I don't think so. I think it's 40.
45.
Yes, you can,
I agree.
under the Fair Labor Standards Act.
Alice? I think Fair Labor Standards says 8 and 40, both with numbers.
45 used to say. Has it been amended recently? It used to say 45.
Actually, it used to say 43, you could do.
Before you had to
28
pay overtime.
You could do a 28-day cycle,
Yeah,
and
okay.
that worked out to 43. Nobody's
Okay.
doing that because cops won't work it, they'll go someplace else to go to work.
Mhm.
I
So
wouldn't
do we
work.
pay overtime after 8 in a day? We don't know.
I didn't think we had,
Actually, I think
It's
you
40
pay it
hours.
over 40 because of the 10-hour shifts.
yeah.
I see.
All right, so
So how do we feel about the extra officer?
Hmm?
My opinion is yes. I think we keep working on trying to increase the amount to get them to where they need to be. And feel strongly that we, play around with that every year, but we need to be stepping towards getting them where they need to be. And I think,
I mean, police departments all over
The
the state have
town
tried
is-
to do 24 hours, 2 people on, with less than 11 full-time people, and you just can't do it. Ossipee just went to 13 full-time people because they wanted 2 detectives.
They're huge geographically too.
well, we're
Ossipee is
9 now.
huge geographically.
great.
right, and every year
But
he
not-
said
but not
11
the-
is the number.
Not the
So
population.
No, but geographically it's.
working
Yes.
towards
I used
it.
to be their assessor years ago.
Because you got Ossipee, you got Center Ossipee, you got West Ossipee, you've got,
All the Ossabees.
Yeah. So.
I agree with Tom. We need to, and also in light of what Brian said about the issues with part-time people.
yeah, but, I mean,
And pay.
You can't get, Tom
We
went.
talked about this last
I don't know
time.
if Chet did it or Tom did, but I know Tom was the manager. They went through CALIA certification. Now, he's dropped it because it's
Mhm.
expensive to keep up.
Yeah.
But he went through, you can't get CALIA certified unless everybody's been to the full-time officer school. They just will not certify you. And that's a national certification, They're just saying everybody's gotta get the same level of training. You can't have somebody out there with minimal training doing the same work that someone has got the full-time training.
All right, 2 in favor, I'm against,
I'm
I'm in
against.
favor.
I'm in favor.
so 4 to 2, okay, so I'll move everything over?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yep.
Yep, I'll move everything over. Dispatch for the fire department,
Right.
it is what it is.
Right, it is what it is, and the ambulance to me is, it
Ambulance.
is what it is.
Back on the police, do you wanna, we addressed this last year, but we also recommended last year that you look at the part-time, or the hourly wage officers, and that might need to be looked at again, because they're at $22 an hour, so this was a thing that we talked about last year. All of us as a board said, yes, we recommend,
This is police? God, what's that?
it was police,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
because that might need to be
Put that as well as your
Looked at.
comment about the town administrator in your comments to the board.
looked at. Okay, yeah. Does everybody agree with that, or?
Well, is that, do they start off at 22?
I don't, like I said, I don't have that
Is
sheet.
They're being paid $22 an hour right now. It's like, so I don't know if, yeah,
Well, different people are being paid
In
differently.
different.
right, but
Because
that's
if
what
you,
they.
if you go by this, the lieutenant is making 59,000, 60,000.
The officers, I'm just saying, coming in.
Control people.
Oh, you're talking about the low-level
Yeah.
Right,
people, a
right.
patrol officer.
Right,
35,989. That's what's in this budget. Oh, no, yeah.
Hmm?
Oh, that's part-time, never mind, I'm
That's
sorry.
part-time. We don't, it's.
See,
It's
that-
not,
they're
it's
at
not.
$22 an hour, so that's,
That could be the patrol people, the senior patrol are making way more than that.
they're making,
25 and 26,
okay.
because you've got 3 in there, so,
Yeah,
yeah, patrolman's about 22, 23, something like that. The senior patrol, they're at 26.
was it adjusted? Seems to me that
Oh, they're
last year.
adjusted every single year.
But that's
So
why
it
it
will-
was really
so it
low,
will
it was
go.
like 18 or 19, and I thought that
No.
I've
was.
never paid anybody that.
It was 22, I think.
I don't have
It
that
was
sheet
just a
with me.
question that, had come up last year as far as.
I can bring that sheet with me next time, you can see what everybody's making.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay.
I wanna ask a question, and why do we have Stratford County dispatch in the police budget? And then we have
It's a
police
mistake,
and
isn't it?
fire.
I talked about that earlier, Brian. That's one of the things that Joanne and I spoke about today, because she says that, I said it was coded wrong. And she says, no, it isn't, it's coded right. And I said, no, it's coded wrong, usually it's under dispatch and fire. She says, oh, yeah, okay, I'll move it. So, but last year it was down there, so why did you move it up this? So, she's gonna fix it, so.
The computer did it.
Somehow, yeah, things were moved around.
She's
and
having-
switched and-
I don't know, I kind of scratch my head, because some of these object codes that you see on the left here, they've been there forever, so why are they changing now? What has changed? Because like the one I talked about earlier, where was it?
Yeah, I saw the one, right, I just was.
Conservation Commission. Why did it go from being a textual, 0, 1, blah, 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 to a number? Because then it strips off the 0, which makes it a different. And she says, well, I keep trying to take it out and put it back in, but it won't let me, and so I don't know, there was probably 12 of them that were just like that, so. I changed them in
You had
here.
to correct, yeah.
So when
In the
she gets that,
report.
in the report, so
So
when
when
she
she
gets
tries
that
to load
back,
it in,
she says, no, it should be fine. I said, okay,
I bet it
because that's
won't.
what I talked to her about today, because,
If she takes your download or
yeah, I
whatever,
know, because
but not,
0142 blah, blah, blah is gonna be different than 142 blah, blah, blah.
yeah,
Because one's a textual field and one's a number, so I don't know.
oh boy. All right, so.
Fire department,
So is
But they
that
haven't
going
been
under
here
fire
yet.
department, or is this the?
So let's skip them.
yep,
Did they ask for anything?
they haven't been here.
No, I know. I'm just
They're
wondering,
not
can we
asking for
tell?
new people. if that's
No
what-
new people? Okay.
So is the ambulance
I would
coming in?
have, I would have said that they should
Yeah,
ask
he's
for
coming
it.
in.
He is
Coming the
coming in?
same night with the fire.
Oh, okay. Because I'm just curious, because they were talking about building a new building and all of that at some point, and I
Fire
forget
department
if
and McGregor,
they
oh yeah.
pursued that.
McGregor is still, I think, moving it, considering it. and
Yeah.
They got all sorts of money.
Or whom?
Over the years, collecting, saving,
Code enforcement,
McGregor.
they'll come next time. Emergency management, they'll come next time. Highway department. Remember, part of Steve's salary is in the transfer station.
Right.
it's like 12,000, I think.
Right,
Somebody-
yeah.
He's paying, getting paid 80,000
Yeah.
to do both. So basically, the difference between the highway supervisor and the transfer station manager is the same as what is really being paid to the public works manager and the new person that's in the transfer station, Paul Geddes. So it was kind of a
Jeff?
wash. Jeff Geddes, excuse me.
Yeah,
What did I say? Paul Geddes?
Paul.
Paul Getty, no. Jeff Geddes.
John Paul Getty.
Jeff Geddes.
Jeff Geddes, yeah. And he's not new,
He's
he
been
just
there
went from
now.
part-time to,
Yep.
did he go to full-time?
Yep,
Okay, so he went
so
part-time
his
to
wife's
full-time.
happy, she stopped getting now, so.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
She lobbied hard. Oh my
That whole
goodness.
thing,
So now, all the moves
Good for
between
me,
the
too.
highway department and the transfer station, do they impact Julie's budget? Have we got anybody going full-time that wasn't before?
No.
they had done that already, right?
He was-
Jeff Geddes was the one that went from part-time to full.
That was for,
But that was last
That was
year.
last
Okay,
year,
so we
yeah,
don't
they
have
did
that
it.
bump this year, okay. Thank you.
so, anything else? Is everybody happy with Steve? I think he did, he's doing a great job, right? As far as we can tell.
As long as we can keep it so he's not so stressed out.
Yeah, exactly.
That was, yeah.
I talked to him and said, just relax, it's okay. Do what we can do, make it work.
The difference in the transfer station's unbelievable.
Well, the
It's
guys,
operating smoothly.
yeah, the guys are happy because they're getting direction, and the volunteers are now better because they're not trying to run the place, kind of thing. Steve's been very firm with them, you know, this is the rule, if you don't like it, get the heck out. And he caught one person doing something he wasn't supposed to, so he let him go. And the volunteers all came together and said, can you reinstate this person? Because this is his only social outlet, and he promises to behave himself. So we said, okay, if Steve's okay with it, he can come back. So he's come back and he's behaved himself. So they know what the law is, and if they break it, they're out of there, so.
I just think it's amazing that there's somebody up on that top place all the
Yep.
time to get out of your car.
Oh, yeah.
We stopped today just to.
Sometimes two.
Yeah, I mean, I got out of the car today, we had the car instead of the truck, and we just happened to be dropping a couple bags, so the guy's he took one out of one hand, one out of the other hand, and said, thank you.
He's helping you, yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh.
okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
Just don't get him talking, because you'll be there all day.
Is
Oh,
that the one, and then the guy with the beard?
The younger guy.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that was the guy with the beard that looks like, who's the guy?
He loves, oh, that's the other guy, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
The young kid. He's the
Young kids.
He likes to
yeah,
chat.
He likes to talk. He likes to tell you about his day. All right, everything else?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Anything in the chamber, hobby department? We all good?
Yeah,
All right.
I'm good with it, yeah.
All right.
Solid waste?
Good with it too.
And the thing, it is what it is, right?
One of the things he is looking at, which he hasn't given us any numbers yet, that last hauling cost,
Yeah, I can talk
Yeah,
about that.
so that might be something that we may be able to do something with. It'll involve a capital purchase, but we'll
Uh-huh.
see.
To get that truck,
Yeah,
and then
What would you call
train
that
Jeff
phone?
to drive it, or he's getting a CDL
they
anyway.
all have, well, yeah. I don't
Jeff
know.
is the one that's gonna,
Like,
Pete has it, Warren has it,
yep,
Well,
Steve has it, but
Who would you get the money from for the truck?
I don't know, we have, first off, he has to tell us how much it costs to acquire it, what the operating expense, and how long, you know, it's gonna take to pay that particular thing off. So like, for instance, the hauling costs are 28,000. That 28,000 is not gonna go completely away, because you're gonna have fuel, maintenance for the vehicle and stuff like that. And the cost of that person to drive up there and back again. So we're waiting to see what that particular number is.
break down.
So let's say the truck is $100,000, I don't know, I'm just putting this out. That minus the expenses, how long does it take to pay itself back? Is it like 10 years? Is it never? Is it 5 years? I don't know. He's
And if
supposed to
you,
do-
if you decide to spend $100,000 up front to buy the truck, where are you gonna get the money?
Oh, I don't know, I'm just pulling out 100,000, I don't know, maybe it's 200,000. Those trucks are not.
He said he could get a new, used good one for like 80 to 90, but yeah, so your 100 is, you know,
So you could take it out of the highway equipment, could take it out of the transfer station capital reserve fund, something like that. You could take it out of the unassigned fund balance. It depends if it makes sense.
Yeah, I just,
But we haven't even got there yet. He hasn't even done a proposal to us yet, so.
okay. Well, I thought he was looking at the truck that was being used by Lamprey.
No, that
I
went to
don't think
Epping.
so.
That was Epping.
That went to Epping. Epping bought that one. That's what they're doing.
So they bought their own truck to haul?
No,
Not that
one. Lamprey used to, Lamprey Cooperative, 5 towns paid for the
Right.
trucking, and Lee was one of them.
Yeah.
Epping was one of the other ones.
Uh-huh.
So when they decided to get out of the trucking business, Epping bought the truck. 25,000, I think they paid for it.
Mhm.
So,
That was a good price.
well.
it was
needed
their
some work.
share of what it was and,
No. Because
Needed
then
some
the
work?
25,000 went back to all the hauling towns and,
oh, it did.
but yeah, it needs some work. So,
But probably not another 25,000 worth. So,
no, I don't think you'd want, that truck was 13 years old, I think, something like that. And the person that they had driving it, he was not that great about taking care of it. The Lamprey people paid for all this stuff, but he was kind of rough on it a little bit, so. But it was an okay truck, they're still using it. But they've got a whole crew down there that, you know, maintains all their vehicles. So this is just yet another one that they're maintaining, so.
So that was the only question under solid waste was the 28,000.
Mhm.
Is everybody,
Yep.
it goes over until we know further?
Mhm.
So Southeast Watershed Alliance, they didn't ask for money last year. So I think she just zeroed it out because they didn't request any, so.
Right.
Zero it again?
Yeah.
Move it over to zero.
Well, it's already
Or
zero.
it's zero. Yeah.
Animal control,
Do we?
sometimes they're expensive, sometimes there isn't. Dog tags come out of the tax collector, so that's not in here anymore, so.
is that what the cost, is that
Don't the police do that?
to pay for the SPCA when you take a dog down there?
So like that lady that had the, I think, dogs and cats over on Old Mill, not Old Mill, across from Sheep Road, the
Yeah,
little
is
road.
that Old Mill?
Oh, yeah.
Was that Old Mill?
Yeah, it is Old Mill.
Oh, whatever, okay. That was a charge for that, because
Yeah.
they had to be taken to the SPCA, the town's responsible for those expenses, so.
So that's just a separate thing?
Yep.
Who actually does, is the police,
Police
I've seen the police,
Yeah.
yeah, come out, so the police actually do it,
Yep.
but that's, so just leave it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move it over. Health service agencies.
You okay with all those?
Yes.
Who do, we got that email, who was that? I can't remember. Take out, so-and-so's not asking for any money. Oh, that was the ag, was it the
Agriculture.
agricultural
Oh.
said? And there was one other one too, before that, I
Well,
can't remember.
Heritage is asking for money,
Is not?
the Conservation Commission is asking for any money,
Okay,
agriculture isn't asking for any money.
okay. So all these,
Yep,
does everybody agree?
Yeah.
welfare, general assistance, it is what it is.
Yeah, do
Right.
it, right? Direct welfare.
Oyster River,
Oh, there you go.
Oh my
That was a
God.
pre-side.
That
What
was
was
my
that?
pre-side.
just to let you know, the Durham budget, Oyster River has asked Durham for 72,000. Todd Seller's budget only includes $28,000 in funding. So they're not fully funding them either. I'm not sure about what Madbury is doing.
Did we get any additional information from ORA about the,
All right, what page are we on?
11?
11.
11. 11?
10 o'clock or 11.
I don't
Oh,
know,
Parks and Rec.
I know I cut open a bucket of worms when I made my comments about what's in administrative expenses, I think.
Didn't she request that?
She-
Julie
well,
said she
got-
requested it
She got some information, but it wasn't very much help, the first breakout.
after no, didn't she?
I don't know
I
if
think
she
she
asked.
said she asked
Yeah, I
again for
don't
the
think she- yeah.
breakdown.
She,
I've been seeing it, but I've been.
No.
she said
No.
that, the guy that we deal with, what's his name, Todd?
Mm.
Not Todd.
Matt.
Matt
Matt.
had gone, somebody had been away, or Matt been.
She
which
was
I know-
gonna talk to Ben Jeans
Yep,
and the other, he's like the treasurer or something or whatever, president.
we've been asking them for a long time to come up with a mechanical calculation of the number, and they did, and we don't like the number, so I think we're probably back. The select board just has to decide.
Oh, well, we have to decide what we want to do.
Oh, I know, but I mean, ultimately, I think it's gonna be a number that people just come to with a dart for, because there's not gonna be a way of calculating it that they're gonna be happy, that we're going to be happy with if it gives us this kind of number.
I like what they've done. They have a calculation. I'm not very happy about all the stuff they included in administrative
That's
charges.
what I mean, if that's the approach they're gonna take, we're never gonna be happy with the outcome of the calculation.
Right.
I-
And the bottom line is, how does it affect our kids that are participating in these programs? But, so if it's, like, we were trying to figure out, if they say, oh, if you give us half that money, then we're gonna have to charge them 50% more or something, but it was different. Yeah, I know, how did you explain it?
So there's $100 per kid of administration fees.
Okay,
If we give them half what they're asked for, each kid will have to bear $50 of those administrative
Additional.
fees. Not additional, just
well,
$50
150.
plus the soccer fee, or whatever, plus
Oh.
the sport fee. So there's two fees.
Oh, for each sport?
Each sport has a sport fee
Yep.
and an administrative fee. The administrative fee is $100 per kid, per sport, flat fee, according to his numbers. Then the sport fee changes based on what the sport is and what they have to pay for.
Right.
So the kids have to do the sport fee regardless. So if we give them everything they're asking for, the kids do not pay an administrative fee. And by kids, I mean their families,
Right,
obviously.
yeah.
If we give them half of this, we pay for half the administrative fee, the families pay for half the administrative fee.
And is that's the way it is now, that you're paying $100 administrative fee
That's what it is per
Was-
kid.
for
That's
right
what-
now?
It's not
Oh, wow.
clear
He
to
hasn't
us.
started doing this.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay, all right. And
Now,
so
what happens if the
This is what
kid
they
plays
said they
three
were gonna do.
sports? Is he pay $300?
yes, because the administrative fee is per registration. So they took all of the administration fees and divided by the total number of registrations,
Of the
not the
total
total
number of
family.
participants, yeah.
I propose we give them $28,700, the same thing we gave them in 2019.
And that's about half.
It's a little bit more than
It's
half.
like
Yeah, a little
60%.
more
So
than
we
half.
pay 60% of the administration fee, families pay 40.
And, you know, and then the kids that supposedly can't afford that, then we know, and they'll be helped.
What's your rationale, Scott? You've gone from
I'm
28 to
sorry I
50
missed
now
it,
to
but
28.
did he talk about how many league kids were involved?
Yes.
Yeah.
500.
500.
not 500 different ones, 500 total.
500 registrations.
250
500.
something, 250 something kids.
It's in the letter
Right.
they sent us.
And they-
Is
From
that
the-
250 kids, or is that 250 registrations?
500 registrations.
500 registrations,
250 kids.
250
So if
kids
some kid is.
applying for different sports or different things.
So some
or
kid is
whatever.
playing 4 sports.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This would be 2 probably, like twice that, 250, 500, yeah. So each one of them's playing 2 or whatever. Or some are playing 3 and 4 and
Somebody's
some
gonna
are,
want.
yeah, exactly.
League residents accounted for 527 accumulated registrations, which represents 27% of the total registrations.
Yeah.
27%,
Those participants represent 287 unique individuals
okay.
from 201 unique street dishes.
Because more kids in one family, yeah.
Yep. League families average 1.4 children in our programs, and each league participates on average in 1.8 Oyster River programs per year. So I view it as a subsidy.
I think,
So,
Okay, let's go back to this calculation. He gave us a number for expenses, and we're dividing it by, why wouldn't we divide it by all the unique registrations for the whole?
well, it's 269,000 divided by 527.
But why are we dividing the
He's
total?
divided by number of people.
Yes, but what she's saying is, why isn't the Durham kids on the league?
Yeah,
Why
why
are
are-
Durham
I
merit-
think it is in there.
it is, yeah.
Does the 527 include the it has to
No.
include Madbury?
That was
No,
just
It's
Lee.
just late.
It's just league.
So if we take,
Then doesn't that mean then that with that calculation, the league kids are paying for all of the administrative expenses?
what I think he's
It
doing
was
is,
just the percentage, I think, that.
he's taking the 269,000, which is administrative expenses, if you divide it by the 267 lead kids, that's $1,070 per register per kid, so that's not it.
Yeah, no, I think he took the
So
total
he is
registrations
including
over the
everything.
entire, all towns.
Okay, yeah.
And
Okay.
divided it out to figure out a per
Got it.
registration.
Okay.
That makes
And
sense.
then
Right.
multiplied it by
Yeah.
5%.
Okay.
That was
makes
my
sense.
understanding
Okay,
of what it
that
was.
makes sense.
So if
Yeah.
you do 527 divided by, what did it say, 27%?
Yeah,
Divided by 0.27, that's 1,951 registrations, 1,951 registrations. So 269,000 divided by 1951, $137.87.
Mm.
I think you got like 105 or something like that,
The
wasn't
number,
it?
the number Matt gave us was 105.
Yeah.
I
So
still-
either way, I'm good with what Scott said, if everybody else is.
Are you kind of picking that number because it's kind of in the middle?
It's kind
It's
of
what we
halfway
gave
what
last-
we gave them 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We could give them what we gave them this year, and that's only 15. I think that's a little low.
And has that impacted the programs, that we only gave 15? Does anybody know?
The people are paying more.
They're just, okay, they're just
I
taking some of the
suspect.
kids.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
I just have a problem with 269,000, because I'm kind of agreeing with you, Pat, some of those things I don't think, I never
Are
signed up and said, I'll pay for all your administrative expenses.
Yeah, right.
No, that's not what no. So I think, for me, if I take the tack that this is a subsidy to help the people that are in Lee pay for those particular programs, I can kind of be okay with that. I'm not comfortable with paying the whole thing.
How, if you go back over 4 years of a kid being in a program,
Mhm.
how have the fees changed over time?
I don't,
Because, you would think that all this.
Oh, way back when
Oh, no,
when I
no,
was
but
doing
yeah,
it.
Just go back maybe 3 years, because just when all this argument between the towns and ORYA
Right,
started,
yeah.
and Durham cut their money and
Yep.
we cut
What
our
has that
money.
done to the
What has that
families?
done to how much the parents have actually had to pay? Have they reflected it in the fees that the parents have paid heretofore?
I
Or
guess
are they
we
gonna start
probably
doing
don't
it
know
now?
exactly, do we?
I don't know.
Because if you've had a kid in soccer for 4 years, has he been paying $100 a year and the organization's been absorbing the rest of it? Or, I'm just curious.
if we pay the same percentage that Durham is proposing to pay, we pay $18,666.
I don't think.
If you do the same percentage that Durham's going to do.
That seems kind of low to me, but.
I don't think we should follow Durham necessarily.
Well, I'm not saying that
We have to
either,
get
but
rid of our
just,
Christmas tree.
They get
You're
rid of
right.
Christmas tree?
we are having a holiday
Because they
tree.
won't have the
Next month.
lighting of the Christmas tree anymore because of the
Oh,
complaints
frost
last
fest,
year
right?
that someone didn't have a menorah.
No, we have a
or
holiday
whatever.
tree, that's different.
Now they're not having Santa Claus march in and making a big thing out of it, they're just gonna have him sit there, and if someone wants to go see him, then
Can't
it's
stand it.
unbelievable.
All right.
But anyway.
I propose 28,700.
I'll agree. with
Everybody?
that.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Yeah.
Agreed. Brian?
Yeah.
All right.
How about the rest of the items under Parks and Rec? We okay with those?
Does that include Larry? What was?
Larry's the second line.
recreation
Yep.
events.
Yep, the increase is for,
And did we give him what he wanted, or?
No, what he wanted was, he wanted us to give 10 grand to ORI.
Oh, no, I know
and
that.
He wanted,
That's-
he wanted it the,
It's not even apples to apples, it's just ridiculous, you know?
I know, but you asked him. to
But
give
yeah,
one.
right, no, I mean, what he asked for regardless of that stipulation. I
Yeah,
think
well-
that's what he asked for, right?
well, the increase is for the musical stuff,
Oh, yeah,
and the new stuff, the
well, maybe the,
drones and
and that whack ball, whatever,
pickleball.
Pickleball, yeah.
After they did a presentation, on the front page of the Foster's, there's an old guy with talking about pickleball.
Really?
That played, yep, there's an
Oh,
old
my daughter
senior
loves,
league.
plays it all the time in Florida, big,
So are we,
big deal for her.
not talking about the tennis courts?
Well, they wouldn't be here anyway,
No.
they'd be in the other.
Well, that's in something else, okay,
I would take,
You good with the rest of them?
yep,
yeah.
Library?
Yeah, I'm good with the library.
Library director has given her notice
She has.
Really?
next year, probably next December, so a year from this December.
retiring.
Yes. Her husband is having medical issues, and then he's going through treatment, but supposedly he's good, but he just needs to go through it. They've decided that that is their life wake-up call, so they're having enough of work and they're gonna enjoy themselves. They're gonna live in Scotland, Ireland, and then someplace on the continent. Because
For the
they're,
next like 3 years or whatever?
no, 3 months.
Oh, 3
They can stay
months
for
each.
90 days, and they have to move on, so they're gonna do this rotating thing.
But they're not gonna do it for another year?
Well, because he has to do his medical stuff.
Oh, he's just medical stuff,
So it was gonna be, she was gonna retire or leave us in May, then it got switched to October. Speaking with her last week, it's now probably the end of December, because his treatment's taking.
okay. So it's another year,
Yeah.
okay.
So, but that will be in this budget.
Next December.
Ah, yes.
So.
That's the only reason I'm telling you.
So director salary, so is that,
When we hired her, wasn't,
We didn't hire her.
when,
do they?
Library.
when the library hired her, wasn't one of the issues in filling that position salary?
Mm. No. Most likely, they'll probably have to offer more, probably. I'm only correcting you because if that goes in the minutes that we hired the library
I
director,
see.
I'll get so many calls and so many complaints. We're usurping their power, that's
Well,
nothing to do with you.
The
please stop
editor of the
talking about
minutes
it.
will catch that.
They're separate, right?
Yes.
Everything is separate, they get to hire their own,
Yep.
so
But I
they're
remember
gonna
that
do the search and all
The
that stuff?
salary
like that?
was an issue the last time this position was filled.
So that was a problem?
Yeah.
It was low.
So is it up to where it should be now, though, or?
Probably not.
Probably not.
No, not for a librarian?
Yep.
And she's had a terrible time keeping anybody over there.
Mhm. Well, she's had some people left, they've retired.
Well, she made it sound, when she made her presentation, she said that she had,
Well, whatever the lady, what is it, the youth services lady?
yes,
She left.
that she said she'd filled one position 3 times. And
Yeah,
she made it
that's the
sound
one.
like that it was because we didn't pay enough.
And then she lost one of her techs. What's her name? I was spacing on her name.
But can't they pay more if they want to?
Yeah, they can.
Even though you don't
They
give it
can.
to them? Yeah, so,
But then they'll have to find it in their budget.
in their budget, right?
Because at this point, we're giving them $44,800
For that,
for the rest of their services.
for the rest of the.
Because the salaries, we just pay for. So we transfer that money to them quarterly. We okay with all those?
So, good, I guess.
So, but
You'll have
could
to
they
figure
come
that-
to you and ask for additional money from the surplus if they needed to increase her the salary at the library?
They can do whatever they want.
Well, I know, but I mean, is that a possibility is what I'm asking.
They'd have to come up with the cash.
They couldn't take it from the surplus.
They don't have access to our surplus.
Well, that's what I'm saying, if they came to you and asked you, with the selectmen. I'm curious if it's legal, I guess, is what I'm really asking.
They get money from the town, so,
Okay.
Well, if they, when they did their budget, they didn't know she was leaving, did they?
yeah, they do.
Oh,
She,
yeah,
she must have
okay.
known, she,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so this isn't something that might change their request?
That didn't come up in the discussion,
No, no,
obviously. She didn't say that, but you guys already knew that?
They did. I just found out about it just recently.
Oh, okay.
The trustees knew it.
They've known about it, because it came out to me, and I said, is that public? And Bruce says, well, I don't know. So I spoke to Annie, and he said, yes, it is public, but I didn't know about it.
Mm.
So,
Hmm.
And are the trustees coming back with a proposal for an addition or whatever renovations to the
they're
library?
supposed to be coming back with a proposal to look inside their walls for doing some renovation, but we haven't heard back from them.
I see.
That was months ago. The plan is not to go outside of their walls.
I see, so it's not an expansion, it would just be trying to remedy some of the,
Things internal.
yeah, okay.
We okay with library?
Yep.
Yeah,
Patriotic purposes.
We good with that?
yeah.
Agriculture Commission, I'm
Yeah.
deleting that to 0.
Yep.
Conservation Commission didn't ask for any money. 2 bond payments, I assume we're okay with moving that over to interest payments for the bond.
Yeah.
Scott, just for a second on conservation, last year when Bill Hum came in, we had a discussion with them last year about how much money they had in their revolving fund. And he said that there was going to be ongoing expenses because of work on, was it the Ford property? And did they change their plans, or do they just have enough money so they don't need to request any?
They have worked very hard to do a plan for the Ford field, the fields. They want to basically open them back up
Oh.
and want to do some restoration work.
Mhm.
I think it's Southeast
Yep,
Land Trust
yep,
holds
okay.
the easement. And they submitted the plan to them and also to the Forestry Department, because they're supposed to get a grant through the US Forestry Department. CELT says no. They're not okay with what they're planning to do, so they're kind of back in square one.
Okay.
CELT says that according to the easement, Mr. Ford, Joe, said that he wanted the fields kept as they were at the time of the easement. Time of the easement is approximately what is there now. So they feel that making an expanse of the field back to where it was in 50s or 60s, they got some aerial photos, would be against his wishes. So they're not okay with the change.
Strange.
So they don't need money for the things they talked about last year?
Well, it's been, even if it was approved, the Forestry Department was gonna come up with some grant money to pay for almost all of it.
Okay, and they have some money anyway?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he got kind of defensive last year, because he was saying, well, we're gonna need to do this, we're gonna need to do that.
Yes.
He didn't like the idea, well, it's the same thing that the Heritage Commission and also partially the Ag Commission has gone through in terms of, there's like, those 3 groups have been asking for money. And I think 2-3 years ago, we said, well, wait a minute, you've got a whole bunch of money, why do you keep asking? And Heritage Commission doesn't ask, and I think that was the first year that he'd been told the same thing, and they didn't ask for any money, so.
Okay.
But I think, at least in my opinion, if they've got all that money for doing stuff, stop asking for town money from the taxes to do those particular things. You got enough in your accounts, so. But that's just me.
There was one, what was the one that we zero funded and they had,
Conservation.
that was the one that
I got 0
got
funded one year.
really
Yeah,
kind of upset and they were like, you know,
yeah.
I think it was Bill Hum.
came to the
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah, it was
Okay, that
conservation.
was that, okay.
He's got 14. I don't-
Well, they haven't spent very much money over the years, and that's why last year, when you asked him why he needed money from town, he talked about the Ford property, and that was,
Well, back then, yeah,
yeah.
they thought they'd
Okay,
have to
but
spend
that's-
something, but then the US Forestry Department guy, I don't remember his name, came forward and there was a grant program that they could use.
Yeah.
But now, just recently, South said, no, they're not okay with the changes.
Okay.
So I don't know if the last meeting they had was Halloween, and I was here. I think I was here.
Mhm.
And I don't know if they discussed it, and I don't think they did. They're working on the McGann easement, not McGann issue over in North Lee. he's in the subdivision there of Cheney subdivision.
Yeah,
And it was an approved thing, and he decided that, I don't wanna put my driveway there where the plan says, I wanna put it over here in this wetlands. So he actually put his driveway in the wetland. And now Karen said, I said, Karen, why didn't we stop it? And she says, I'm not gonna spend the town, which is good, I'm not gonna spend the town's legal money. He's gonna have to come to us for a CO at some point. We're not gonna issue it to him because he didn't put the driveway in the right place.
an occupancy permit. maybe.
Yeah, CO.
Yeah.
So now he wants to sell the place, and Karen won't give him a CO because his driveway's in the wrong
Good for
place.
her.
Now he brought it to the ZBA,
Um,
ZBA said no. Now he's got a lawyer in there and they're appealing the ZBA's ruling.
The ZBA actually said no to something?
Yep, they said no. Conservation Commission said no as well.
Yeah.
They do recommendations.
Yeah.
To even
okay.
move.
So now he's back in front of the ZBA for an appeal, and the Conservation Commission has sent another letter to the ZBA saying they still do not agree with they want him to change it,
Mhm.
and he's not gonna change it, he says, so.
Is he gonna go to Superior Court? He might as well change it and go to Superior Court.
Exactly.
So he needs to change where the driveway is?
Yeah, but the thing
Basically.
is, at least from the conservation's point of view, and I agree with them, it sets a precedent.
Right, I
If
agree.
somebody can come in and put wherever he wants
Right,
and have no repercussions, what
Right.
stops the next guy coming in and say,
Exactly.
well, wait a minute,
Agree.
you did it for him again, why can't you do it for me?
right, again, I agree.
So, but we'll see.
Mhm.
So I don't know if they discussed it or not, so.
Is that Joe McGann?
No.
Paul, I think, right?
No, I don't, no, it's not the police, no,
Okay.
it's just another guy.
And not police at
I don't
all,
think
not
so.
Joe or Paul?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Hmm.
I wanna say Sean.
I don't know, Paul was the only one that owned property in the lake.
This is a younger guy.
Paul did?
Maybe one of their
It
sons.
might be his kid.
Yeah, might be.
Oh.
His mother came, he couldn't make it, so he sent his mother in to the Conservation Commission to plead his case. She says, I don't know why I'm here, I don't know too much about this, only what Sean, or whatever his name is, told me to say. So Bill Hum says, well, what did he tell you to say? So she said all the things that, and we're all sitting there nicely listening to her, but we didn't. He thinks it's an undue hardship to make him change the driveway after the fact.
After the
And we were
fact.
okay with it. And of course Karen Rossi says, no, the town was never okay with that.
Right.
Well, you saw it on the plan, and she says, I didn't see your plans, I saw the plan that was approved by the planning board, but not your plans. Oh yeah, we must have showed you to you at least once. It's like, no, you never showed it to us.
So this is Granger Drive?
No,
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 it's,
this is that new subdivision.
Yeah, Pinkham,
Pickup Road.
Cheney's,
Oh,
It's out behind where.
It's not Cheney's
you
anymore.
mean where,
that's,
Where is this?
you mean
Chimber.
Chipper Road.
Jimberg is doing the building?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's Cheney's.
Yeah, Cheney has the land and then Chipper. What are they doing in back of Sunny's there?
Oh, it's a house lot, so most likely somebody built a house.
They stripped that whole
They
area
stripped the whole
out.
area,
Never-
put an ugly
yeah.
place
Well, there
to
was
put
a house there that burned,
Right.
Right.
Years
Taken
ago.
down,
Yeah.
yeah, so I assume they're putting in a house.
Ugly place to put a
But
house.
they cleaned the whole area out.
Yeah, they cleaned a lot of stuff up.
When you want like a tree barrier for between you and the road,
I
they
would
cleaned everything out, like,
Well, it's like when they
gone.
did over in Epping at that
I
lake, when they
know.
cut that whole
On that
thing.
Yes,
corner?
they took-
That beautiful house, which now I can see the beautiful
now
house.
you can see the house.
But I really
but
should, I would have preferred seeing the trees if I were
I
them.
would think, yeah, they would.
The other thing we have is
They
in
must
terms
be
of,
developing.
we won't get numbers from Bob about the accrued benefits nor the reevaluation, so we have to take a look at both of those.
So does, Julie have a recommendation on those?
She was supposed to get back to us about those.
Okay.
The accrued benefits,
What's left in it? Do we know?
it's on that sheet.
Yeah, you're right, it's in the back of the book.
Liabilities of 100-something thousand.
Is the liability going up each year?
Yep,
Why? I thought like Randy was sort of the last one.
Nope.
Long term.
no, look at your sheet again.
I don't wanna look at it.
Look at your sheet again. It's affected by something you said earlier as well.
You don't need them for 3 weeks.
Accrued benefits, 68,500. Reevaluation is 62,000.
Yeah,
You're shedding paper.
So a full evaluation is about 60,000. So we got enough money in 2021 to do that. Accrued benefits, I believe it should be in there someplace,
Accrued benefits,
in terms of her
68,000 it says.
liability.
Well, it says approximately the balance of it. And what sort of liability?
Yeah, where's,
I didn't see the liability.
oh,
That minimum,
Are you asleep yet, Brian?
We're getting close.
So he's close to fading on us.
where's the, does anybody have that sheet?
What sheet?
It's the, I think I put it in my other folder. The sheet that shows vacation and sick time liability.
Oh, no, we didn't get that. I don't
You didn't get that? I thought I sent it to you.
well, we might not have printed it.
I certainly didn't print it.
Because my copy is in my other notebook.
Oh, so what you're gonna tell me is that a lot of that is for Julie, right? In terms of,
Yes.
we owe for what, vacation?
Vacation and sick
Oh,
time.
it's like
Sick time.
all.
31,000.
This is
31,000?
Yep.
We
keeps
went over
going
this
up.
last year.
Yep,
Yeah.
it goes up,
36,000?
no, 31, I think.
31.
Last year was 28.
Wow, was it that much each year?
Yep, because she never takes sick time.
I see.
Yep, she works.
I'm opening it.
Ta-da!
It is opening.
And so sick time can be accrued until you leave, or?
Yep.
Let's see. Whoever does that.
It's not a use it or lose it thing, it's a save it and
Yes.
get all the money thing.
Is that
Yes.
true about vacation time too?
Yep,
Is she the only employee like
Yep.
that?
she's the only one left. Nobody else has a contract. Ooh, nope, that's not it.
Because they got rid of the chief, the fire and the police
Oh,
chief contract,
Scroll up.
but they kept
Three, it should
hers.
be
Yep.
eight, you know? If
This is
they
per
in a
person.
contract.
Well, that's
should have
old.
a contract.
This is the one you.
That's last year.
This-
That's as of 2018.
I don't really may not have found it.
All right, I'll send it to you.
They couldn't do that. The other two selectmen didn't vote that way.
What? But I'll send you the liability one, because that, you'll have to look at that to see what we should put in for accrued benefits trust.
Okay.
Because I think it's 100 and some odd thousand, so we're at 68, so.
Well, if hers is only 36, who's all the other?
All
It
the
just,
other
it's
employees.
just, it just adds up
Yeah.
for all the other employees,
Yeah.
adds up to like 100,000 or something.
Yeah, I don't know what the total is. It's 100,000 and something.
So our next meeting isn't for,
You get
we
next
get
week off.
everybody, we get a couple weeks
It's
off.
not till the 11th.
Till 11.
12/11, and it's actually a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday,
Sorry.
and then we meet again on Thursday.
Yep.
That's the last one,
And then your presentation is January.
the Monday,
So is the town center
it's December.
vision committee,
December.
are they gonna ask for
It's
one?
the next Monday,
16th.
16th, that's
Yeah.
right.
What they're gonna, what the Town Center Vision Committee is gonna do is they're going to talk to you about the plan, and if you have questions, you can ask questions.
Oh, I see.
They will have at that particular presentation the amount for the MOB, the municipal office building. They will not have a number for fixing the town hall, nor any information about the parish house in terms of the numbers to fix it. They'll walk you through what is in
What
their
about the
plan.
library? Is that,
Nothing
is-
that's not in their plan? The library's on their own now?
No, the library was taken off their plate when the library trustees said, you know, we're doing our own thing.
Okay.
So they'll have nothing to do with the library. So basically what they're gonna tell you is, municipal office building, they're gonna give you a little site plan of where they think it should be.
Is it basically where it was before?
Kind of, it's now a two-story. We were directed to do a two-story, so it's two-story,
Directed by whom?
the select board.
Oh,
So
so
there's a-
that means an elevator or
there's a-
two,
Yep,
right?
no, just one
Just
elevator.
one elevator.
So there's a full basement. First floor is planning and zoning, town clerk, tax collector, bathrooms, there's a meeting room down there. Second floor is selectman's office, space for the welfare person to meet, sorry. And there's a little bit of extra space in the second floor.
Where's
This
the town administrator,
administrative, second floor
second floor?
on the left. The,
Is it smaller than what was proposed, in terms of square footage?
it's more, it's 3,200 a floor.
Oh,
So 3,200 first floor, 3,200 second floor, and then you got a 3,200 square foot basement.
Now, I'm gonna assume they're not gonna be putting this on the warrant this year?
Yes,
They are.
I believe so.
So there's gonna be a bond issue,
I believe so.
and we don't know how much.
Who is the they that are coming?
The Town Center Vision Committee,
Yeah.
most likely you get a presentation from Cord Lucas.
If he does a nice job.
Yes, he does, yes.
Who else is on the committee?
John Tappan, Patricia Jenkins, Bambi Miller, Ben Jeans, and Court, the six of us. So that's what you're gonna get. We won't by that time have assessment numbers for the parish house and the town hall. The idea is, sorry, I think I'm gonna answer your question. The idea is to go for the municipal office building. When that's completed, renovate the town hall. There's most likely, because the town hall is on the State Register of Historic Places, you can apply for LCHIP and Moose Lake grants, potentially get half. So we renovate the town hall, that would turn into a meeting space, which it was originally. And then after the town hall was fixed, then you go and do something with the parish house. Renovate it downstairs, would be turned into spaces for the committees and commissions. That is also on the State Register of Historic Places, so you could possibly get half of that.
It is.
Yes, we put it on.
Yeah, the parish house.
So that's the kind of grand plan. We'll see what people have to say. The municipal office building is not cheap. And,
How much, 3 mil?
well, we haven't finalized the numbers yet, but it'll be probably close. We'll see.
But not the 4.8 whatever million.
Well, we're not
it
going
was.
through the library, so
All right.
that's,
That's how.
Still have to do
The-
a lot of site work though.
yeah,
Now, where are you gonna put the building? The same place where it was gonna be in the
about,
other one?
yeah. The presentation will give you the kind of idea of where things lay out. The town hall, if I had to guess, the previous estimates we've got are about 400,000. So far we put 50,000 aside. If we put another 150, maybe over 2 years or 1 year, then go for a grant for half of it, that would pay for that.
And then the parish house.
And then the parish house, the people,
I mean, at one point you were talking about raising that, were you not?
yep, well,
And that's.
officially,
To move it?
officially, we've got a 1-year stay of execution, so July 1st, 2020. So they're gonna do a presentation, most likely what they're gonna ask for is another stay of execution so it doesn't get taken down. Because it doesn't cost us anything for it to sit there,
Yeah, right.
so.
Is it deteriorating anymore? You know?
Well, it's
Any
not
more than
being
it
used.
has
Because
been.
well, it was not being heated and, you know, those
Well, the thing is also, the assessment, the two assessments around those two buildings, the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance is most likely gonna pay half of that assessment fee, so it's about 5,000 for each one of those. But if the assessment for the parish house comes back, let's say it's 200,000 to do the, that would probably cost us 100,000. To tear it down is about 25 to 30, so it's really gonna cost the town like 70,000 to do that. If it comes back and they say, oh, to renovate the parish house is $500,000, I'm not in favor of that. But it depends on what the assessment says, so. And I suspect, like I said, the town hall is most likely 400,000 to do. Fix the floor, fix the ADA stuff, put new wiring, do the heating system and things like that. Insulation as well.
But you wouldn't change the layout. You'd have that, the town clerk, tax collector's office, I mean, that would be there. I'm not saying that they'd be using it, but that would stay there, and then you'd have the big room.
The idea is the big room becomes a meeting room,
Yeah.
and that town clerk tax collector's office basically becomes a non-public room.
Oh, I see.
The idea would be the selectmen would use that room for doing the non-public stuff, so the big rooms would do the meetings.
Oh, you have your meetings there.
Yep, and then also a space in there for putting the tables and chairs when the big room needs to be open, so a place to store stuff. The other thing we talked about is taking the support out of that main room so it's completely open. The other thing we talked about is taking away the second floor. Don't have
Oh.
a second floor.
Just have it completely open.
Then you could take away the staircase,
Yeah,
give you more space down the
yeah,
bottom,
yeah.
maybe open up that window. The big mystery is there actually a window in that right-hand side or just the shutter?
So then you could actually have big functions in there and so forth for the town functions.
Because the big thing is fixing the floor. Because right now, the engineering people say the floor is basically floating.
I see, it's not attached to anything
It's
anymore.
not attached to the sills anymore because they've rotted out, so Randy went down there like 9, 10 years ago and it supported the ceilings. The joists are fine, but when they get to the sills, they're all rotted out,
I see.
because there's too much vapor, there's water down there.
Yeah.
It never gets, so that's something.
So is that when Jim Banks like fell through the floor or
No,
something
that
like
was
that?
Banks.
Dwight Barney.
It's Dwight
Oh,
Barney.
Dwight Barney.
Fell through
Oh.
the floor, yeah.
Oh, no.
So,
I'm the one who sanded
Did
and
you push him
urethane.
down there?
No, but I sanded and urethane that floor,
oh, really?
yes. In what, 1979 or something?
Well, they
God.
replaced the floor. Most likely they probably put in radiant heat or something
Yeah,
like
right,
that.
that makes sense.
But the floor would come up, because one of the things that the assessing people, which is already determined, that floor is not original.
Yeah, that makes sense, that it would not be,
The only place that's original floor is upstairs in the closet, where the selectman's office used to be.
yeah.
In that closet, the boards, that's the only thing that's original still in that. The rest of it's been changed, so.
Mhm.
Okay. Right.
So that's what they're gonna tell you.
So we had said that we were gonna keep the personal administration budget, move all but health and retirement, pending our discussion with the police officer.
So
We
we'll just
still
move
moving
it.
that? Okay.
Well, if we're included, we're gonna include those particular
All right,
places,
so make
so.
sure that we.
Yep,
Move it. Yeah.
good catch.
So
So,
how do you think that's gonna, I mean, there's gonna be a $49 million
mhm,
bond request from the school district?
yep,
And, say, a $3 million bond request from the town itself?
mhm, something like that, maybe.
That'll be interesting. Everybody and their cousin will be out to vote.
Well, the other thing I've toward the TCVC, and I've also toward the board too, is we've been doing this for 3 years. So if the vote comes back, let's say we do a $3 million bond, or whatever it is, and it comes back, because we need 60% for it to pass, it becomes 58, 59, 50%,
It's worth
I'm game for doing it again. If it comes back 30%, I'm done. I'm
What did we
done.
get last time?
It was 2-1 against, wasn't it?
Well, include the
Well, they
library.
They didn't get 50%,
No, they didn't,
right?
no, they didn't.
Yeah.
And the thing we heard most loudly, if
Was
it
the
didn't include the library, I would have been more favorably inclined
I
to.
know, that's what I said to you earlier.
That's what it was about.
But the thing
Do
is-
you think are we gonna get a lot of pushback on doing anything because you're not gonna
Oh.
tear the parsonage down? I'm seeing a lot of stuff online about.
They're all gonna be separate. They're all gonna be
People are
separate.
bitching because you're gonna tear a parsonage down, now you wanna spend money on it.
Well, that's the thing, you know, they're all gonna be separate,
It
so
can be,
if you're in favor of the
Saving
municipal office
money.
building, you can vote for that. If you're in favor of putting them aside for the town hall, you can vote for that separately. If you're in favor of continuing pursuing something with the parish house, no money, pursuing it, there's no money, doesn't cost the town anything, just saves the town the money tearing it down this particular year. So most likely, you can pick and choose what you wanna support and what you don't wanna support. So it's not like last year was like all or nothing.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
So now it's kind of like a little bit à la carte, so. The other thing is, which is kind of a little bit of a plus, just a little bit, the fire department's been looking for a place to put their cistern for the Lee Hill. So there's a place over there for doing that, so they're happy about that, so, but that's just a little plus, so.
I mean, you could do that
Mention
without
all the
all the other,
pluses.
could you not? If they
The
requested
pluses
it.
were short.
Include all the pluses, so it
Well,
can,
the thing
Yeah.
is, people have to be comfortable with it, that's
Right.
money.
Right.
So,
but that's
The notes?
all the pluses
Doesn't matter to me.
make people, might make people.
the biggest thing we hear in terms of people, because one of the things we talked about the last meeting, you hear everybody complaining from the right, everybody complaining from the left. You don't really hear people in the middle. And you see that with politics all over today.
Yeah.
So the biggest
The
complaints we hear
extremes.
are, one, what's the matter with the buildings we got? They're perfectly fine, stop trying to spend our money. So that tells me we haven't got out the information enough to say, this is what's wrong with our buildings.
Yeah, they're
we need to
rotting
do
out
something.
from underneath us.
We also get on that same side is, you know, no matter what you say, I'm not gonna vote for any more expenses. They don't care what it is. You know, if their child's gonna die because their taxes are going up, nope, I don't want that. That was
That's a
maybe.
small.
A little
that was too big
overboard,
too
but.
far. And the other people, in terms of their concern is the school.
Yeah, of course.
And my response to that is, if we stop doing everything we need to do for the town just because of the school, we'll never do anything.
We'll never do anything.
But they're worried, their taxes are gonna go up significantly because of the school.
So a lot of people just can't afford
Well, if the
Taxes.
school does the same thing they did last time with the high school, it didn't pass on the first vote.
Oh, I
So-
think it took three years for
Years
them
of
to
it,
get
yeah.
it through.
So,
But also, when that was
I
done,
think the
there was
cost
still
of that-
state aid, and there's no
No
state
state
aid,
Yeah.
right? And
No
that,
state
and that's a
aid.
huge difference, because state aid used to be 45%.
yep.
So, to ask the three towns to come up with 49 million is.
Brian hasn't been there yet. You're on.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Aye, everybody in favor?